paralyzed from the shoulders down, how do you kill yourself?
Exactly. You need help from people.
You need help from people. And that's the only reason why she could not kill herself. She almost lost her faith. She kept asking how God could allow something like that to happen to her. Finally, she came to accept a biblical principle that most Christians fall on in times of utter despair. And it says, in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, those who are the called according to his purpose. Joni did not fully understand what good could come out of a disaster, but she believed that somehow God himself would find a way of letting her accident and its consequences become a blessing to her. Since she could not use any of her limbs, she learned to paint with a brush between her teeth.
Wow.
And began making a living selling her artwork. And this is a girl who didn't even know she could paint before the disaster. And using the same means, she began to write too. To date, she has written over 40 books, recorded several musical albums, starred in an autobiographical movie of her life, and is an advocate for people with disabilities. Jonahs' life story was the first to teach me that it does not matter what happens to you. It does not matter what life throws at you. What matters is how you deal with it. What happened to Joni, an active girl at 19, was devastating and permanent, but her faith that God could make good come out of it made her a world-renowned painter, a multiple published author, and a recorded musician. Someone else in her shoes may just have become a human vegetable, and that would have been her end. Jonahs' story also forced me to ask myself, who will I be if everything is taken from me? Now think about it. Who will you be if everything is taken from you? Can you cope if you lost the use of your hands or your legs? What about if your sight went? Or if you lost you can fill in the blank. Many of us are defining ourselves by the wrong things. We define ourselves by our roles, the roles that life has forced upon us. So we are students, we are athletes, we are soldiers, we are graduates, we are super morning hosts, we are all kinds of things. But who really are you? Fact is, everything can be taken from you. The question is, if that happens, what will you be? What would you be if you are no longer a minister, or no longer a public servant, or no longer a lawyer, or no longer a doctor, or no longer whatever you identify yourself with? We have been given a glimpse of this thanks to the coronavirus pandemic. Many of us had our lives defined by all kinds of activities. Our lives were full. Our days were busy, very busy. And then it all came to a screeching halt. Lockdown, social distancing. Suddenly, we could not go out. We could not open our businesses. We could not do any of the things by which we had defined ourselves for so long. Everything we were used to had been snatched from us. And that is when many of us discovered that discovered what we were and whether we had a life or not. Joni discovered that she could be whatever she imagined possible. She had seen herself as an active girl. When that was taken from her, she discovered that she was a person of endless possibilities, including painting with her teeth. She discovered she could sing and write too. She would have done none of these if she had not lost everything. If she had not lost the use of her limbs and had not lost her dreams. The pandemic taught many of us what was important. We moved from defining ourselves as professionals and career high flyers to discovering that we were spouses, parents, and in the cases of a lucky few, we discovered that we were innovators and people with unlimited potential and possibilities. You know, we never know who we really are until we are thrown into the deep end, until we hit rock bottom. That is when we discover who we really are. In those circumstances, some of us discover we are weak. The lucky ones discover they are strong. Winston, listen on. normal is often the real handicap. A normal situation or circumstance is a real handicap because it keeps us from discovering who we really are.
Okay.
People have discovered they were entrepreneurs only after losing their day jobs, their regular jobs. If they had never lost their jobs, they would never have known that they had it in them to start and run a business of their own. And I can multiply examples. I know several ladies who are at the top of their careers today because their love relationship did not go well. If that relationship had gone great, they would have lived normal lives and would never have risen to the heights that they have because the relationship forced them to focus on something else and brought them this far. I believe it is time we start embracing abnormal situations and circumstances because they have the potential of making us extraordinary, just like the abnormal has made Johnny one of the most celebrated people in the world. There is a strange verse in the Bible. It is you would actually find it in Proverbs 24 verse 10. It says, quote, "If you falter in a time of trouble, how small is your strength?" End of quote. In other words, in time of trouble, in abnormal and even unfortunate circumstances, we can and must shine and triumph and thrive. And now I have a prayer for you. May your strength not fail in time of trouble. May your faith and confidence not fail in abnormal and seemingly impossible times. May you triumph and thrive in circumstances that are meant to destroy you. And when you are confronted with the abnormal, embrace it because that is your ticket to the extraordinary.
I like that. So normal is actually the handicap.
Oh, normal is handicap.
And so
It's a handicap.
Yeah, sometimes you must move into the abnormal.
To discover.
Yeah.
To discover who you really are so you could celebrate yourself. I had a friend who had who was a friend to a couple, both of whom were blind. And he said one day he decided to surprise them. So he went to their house without announcing and sneaked into their compound. He said the wife, this is a blind woman. The wife was passing and stopped and said, let's say if the guy was called Winston. He said, has Winston, where are you? Why have you come and you haven't informed us that you are here? Blind woman.
I see.
Those of us with sight, sometimes we are the real.
Sometimes we are the real problem. I get you. This is a great story. So, sometimes, no